Okay, so I realize that this is not a topic everyone is going to want to hear about, but for the people who do, this is a very common issue, and I haven't really talked about it that much just because I didn't really want to deal with it myself, I guess. So, over the summer, so summer 2018, it's now January 2019, summer 2018, my gynecologist decided to diagnose me with PCOS. And PCOS stands for polycystic ovary syndrome. She diagnosed me after an ultrasound, and she took my blood work because that's what she said needed to confirm my diagnosis. The blood work came back inconclusive on my progesterone levels. Like the lab just never turned it in, never gave it back to the doctor. And she still gave me a diagnosis. So here I am at the OBGYN. It has been 18 months at the time since I've had a period, and she's telling me I have this thing. I'm showing the symptoms via the ultrasound and the fact that my menstrual cycle is gone. But she gets back these inconclusive blood panels and still tries to prescribe progesterone to me, which is the hormone that came back inconclusive, meaning she didn't know what my progesterone levels were and still tried to prescribe them to me. So I said, no, thank you. We're going to go ahead and just say, sure, I have this thing. I'm going to go see a naturopathic doctor and see what they have to say. So I set up just an over the internet consult with Dr. Roz Rannon at Integrative Healthcare in Phoenix, Arizona. Their whole thing is hormone balancing. So the way a telemedicine appointment works is she can't prescribe anything, but she can look at my blood work. She can give recommendations and things like that. So I just said, sure, let's do that. So I met with her via a video call and we talked about what was going on. She recommended that I switch the way I was eating a little bit. My diet by no means was bad. I mean, I'm a nutrition coach and a personal trainer. My diet sticks pretty paleo most of the time. Over the summer, I was eating kind of like keto throughout early day, and then I would kind of carb up at night. I wouldn't go crazy, but I would have some potatoes or something like that. So I wasn't keto, but I wasn't high carb either. I was like low carb paleo, I guess. And I would eat some dairy too once in a while. So the diet that Dr. Rannon suggested I take or get on was the Adrenal Reset diet, written by Dr. Alan Christensen, who is the founder of Integrative Healthcare. And our reasoning for this is PCOS, it is an insulin problem, which is crazy for someone who is eating low carb. But I do notice, like, if there is a splurge, even if I have paleo cake or ice cream or whatever, but something that still does have a higher sugar content, I feel myself getting sweaty and like my body doesn't want to handle the extra sugar very well. So I guess I was like, okay, maybe it makes sense that maybe my body's a little insulin resistant from years ago when I wasn't eating well or something like that. So, but yeah, PCOS at its root is an insulin issue, and the fact that gynecologists are always trying to treat it just by giving you female hormones like progesterone isn't treating the root cause. It's treating the symptoms and making you bleed again monthly, even though it might not be a legitimate period or you're still having that inflammation from insulin underneath all of it. The PCOS is like your insulin problem manifesting as messing up your cycle because our hormones are all intertwined. So Dr. Rannon put me on the Adrenal Reset diet. She told me to do it for 6 weeks and see how I felt. She also told me to prioritize my sleep. Part of the Adrenal Reset diet is cutting caffeine. You cut gluten, sugar, and dairy and eggs. I already wasn't eating gluten or sugar. I was eating a little bit of dairy and I had started eating eggs again. So cut those, already had the gluten and sugar out. It actually focuses on balancing insulin, which is why she thought it was going to be helpful for me to eat this way for a little bit. Like I said, all of our hormones are intertwined. So if your insulin is unpredictable, then your body kind of goes into a stress mode. And if your body is stressed, it doesn't want to reproduce. So that could have set off my female hormones from being regular. That could have told my body to stop releasing eggs and causing a cycle. There's all these different things that could have been the reason, but it seemed that everything that was happening could have pointed back to insulin. So the fact that the Adrenal Reset diet cut those 4 inflammatory things, gluten, sugar, dairy, eggs, focused on eating a lot of whole vegetables and meats and healthy fats and resistant starch, that is like Whole Foods Mecca. So it was a little bit of a shift for me to start incorporating carbs earlier into my day. I did start taking Dr. Christensen's just Adrenal Reset shake in the morning rather than the breakfast I was eating, which typically was like these sausage patties and like some bulletproof coffee or something like that. I switched just to these metabolism reset shakes. Is that what they're called? Adrenal reset shakes, one of those. And so I started doing that in the morning. Lunch, I would have just like a huge salad with quinoa in it or rice or plantains on the side, something that was really starchy. And then in the evening, I also made sure to have my protein, my veggies, and something starchy like potatoes, plantains, rice, again, stuff like that. So I was actually eating a lot more grains than I have in a long time, starches, things like that. So while it was higher carb, it was still quality carbs. And I think the thing that I really liked too about it was if you look at what an insulin curve is supposed to look like, you're supposed to see it kind of start out low and then increase so that by the end of the day, your insulin kind of spikes and then it drops when you go back to sleep. So if that's off, then you need to figure out a way to cause that to happen, force the insulin back into that slope. So the way the Adrenal Reset diet works is it is a balanced plate at each meal, but it starts with 1 serving of protein in the morning, 1 serving of fat in the morning, 1 serving of carbs in the morning. And then you look at the plate at lunchtime, 1 protein, 1 fat, 2 carbs, okay, insulin rising. Dinner time, 1 protein, 1 fat, 3 carbs. So dinner is actually your biggest meal and it is your highest carb meal, which kind of goes against what a lot of like bodybuilder bro fat burning diets say. But the way your insulin is supposed to spike is that it is supposed to increase throughout the day. And conversely, your cortisol, the stress hormone that can get kicked off if your insulin is whack, is supposed to be highest in the morning and drop throughout the day. So it all starts with regulating insulin just by your food. So I ate this way for 4 months. Yeah, she told me to do it for 6 weeks and I felt so good at the end of the 6 weeks that I just kept eating that way. And she had ordered blood work for me to get done right after that consult, but I decided to wait and get it until after I had done that diet for a few months just to see the difference. I did get that blood work done and I haven't gotten it back yet. I will update. Have not gotten it back yet, but I just felt so good. And the only reason I stopped eating that way was because I went on a trip to Costa Rica and I wanted to like enjoy some of the food there for a little bit. But as soon as I got back here, I started eating Adrenal Reset diet protocol again. So whenever I'm in America, I guess I'm a pretty strict Adrenal Reset diet. On top of that, I started prioritizing sleep more. So I've always known that I'm a person that just needs more sleep to function well. And I never was like getting 3 hours or something. I was never that extreme. But there were nights where I would get like 6 or something. And for me to function well, I need 8 or more hours of sleep. So I started just making sure that whenever I went to bed, my alarm clock was set for 8.5 hours after I was going to bed. Because I know it's going to take me time to fall asleep. Whatever. So that was a thing. And then part of the Adrenal Reset diet is decreasing caffeine. I was drinking a lot of coffee throughout the day, which I'm sure was not helping my stress levels. So I cut back to 1 cup a day. Now I'll have like 2 sometimes or like 1.5, but I try to stick pretty strict close to 1 cup. And I drink dark roast anyway, which is the least caffeine. So very decreased coffee as well. Now, the reason I am even making this, kind of explaining what I've been up to the last few months, is because I got my first period in 2 years a week ago, I guess 5 days ago. I got it on Sunday and it's Friday now, but So all that being said, I wanted to make this video now because I feel like a kid kind of learning about how all this works again. And I wanted to document that and share it with you guys. So in case anyone else is having these issues, and just to be clear again, like I was already very healthy. Like my blood work was coming back. I get the most extensive blood work you've ever seen done. Boston Heart does it. My friends at MSW Lounge take it for me and we check it. All of my vitals looked so good. Even when they would take it and we would actually get my full hormone panel back, they would just say, oh, it looks like your body's in this phase of your menstrual cycle right now, according to your female hormones. So it was like, we never pinpointed whether the female hormones were like the reason or not until I met with Dr. Roz, and she had me take a cortisol test and we saw that that was elevated. And so we were like, okay, maybe the stress and the insulin and all that stuff is what's causing all of this to mess up. So between working with MSW Lounge and integrative healthcare, I have tracked so many healthy things and it's been great. But again, like, it's not like I was eating fast food. I haven't eaten fast food in years. I work out regularly. The sleep I was getting before I made sure it was 8.5 hours or more a night, it was still really deep quality sleep. I never felt fatigued. Yeah. So, and it's crazy to me that someone who was coming back with exceptional blood work on all fronts still was not having a menstrual cycle. That's insane. And I will say too, I think part of me doing the diet, the adrenal reset diet, to help regulate those things and decreasing the caffeine and focusing on sleep. And I actually, the first month I did not go to the gym. I walked a lot and that was about it. I went on walks most days and that was kind of all I did for exercise for a month after starting the adrenal reset diet. All of that points towards de-stressing, which again, if I'm talking about the insulin cortisol relationship, your insulin can spike with your cortisol. So if you're stressed, your insulin might spike too. So I guess this is a long-winded way of saying I'm still figuring it out, but clearly something's working because of this week. So I will be sharing updates, I guess, on just things that I'm doing to like continue to support this clearly beneficial change to my hormone levels. And when I get those hormone levels back from Integrative Health, I will let you know what they say. But yeah, PCOS sucks and it is a huge problem for a lot of people and it kind of manifests for everyone differently. But if these de-stressing and like eating techniques helped me, I think they can help a lot of people. And I just wanted to put it out there that those are the key things I did from getting the diagnosis to now, which was about 6 months, to see if it worked and, you know, try and just de-stress, treat my body better, think clearer, sleep longer, better, all that stuff. And it seems to be working. So I guess this is diary number 1 on that. Let me know if you're having issues with stuff like this, especially if you're like someone who considers themselves pretty healthy already. Cause it drives me crazy that I was showing as extremely healthy on all other fronts and then this was just not working at all. So if you are dealing with this, whatever your symptoms are, you're not alone. There are so many women struggling with it, and like so many women that there is a doctor out there named Dr. Jolene Brighton whose only specialization is post-birth control PCOS. So many women have given up their birth control and gotten PCOS because of it, or developed symptoms of PCOS, been put on the pill, and then it just messes them up more, that there is literally a doctor who is famous for treating people for it. So you're not alone. We'll figure this out together, but it's not as hard as it may seem. So that's all I got today. Thank you for watching.